chief ops officers, directors of the board, he still gets all their award. The fantastic Geoff Shorter.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Shirley, for that brilliant presentation earlier. Basically, what I'm here to talk about today is the current state of the employment market, particularly aimed at the older person. There's a lot of us out there who have gone through redundancy, a lot of change, a lot of difficulty, and it is tough. We're hearing things at the moment that there are more people employed in the UK than they've ever been. So why is there an issue? There's a demand for these skills. Why are people still not getting into the jobs market? Now, my background has been in recruitment for about 15 years, and I've been an owner-manager of my own business, and I came to work for Reed about 5 years ago. And at that stage, they perceived taking me on as a risk, because I was late 40s, coming up to 50, run my own business. What has this guy got to offer us? Well, what this guy's got to offer you is a love of what he does. What this guy's got to offer you is that he believes that if you get the components right of what you do, and in my case that's getting the right person into the right job, the success will follow. This is a sales job. Success is measured by money. That is just the trappings of what happens when you get it right. But if you believe that what you're doing is the right thing, then that is what brings the success. So if we just have a little look at where we are at the moment. Oh, sorry. And have a little look at the overview of the market at the moment. Now, have any of you guys here registered online and tried to apply for a job online? You've done that? Yeah? Okay. And there's various experiences of this out there. If you go on at any given time tomorrow, Total Jobs, Reed website, Indeed, 3 million jobs out there in the UK. 3 million jobs. Unbelievable. My experience would say that around about 2/3 of them are genuine jobs. There are those genuine work out there. So we're still talking about 2 million jobs. And yet we have 2 million people unemployed. Yet we have older people who sit in the job centre and aren't getting any assistance, any help, and can't get out there at all, cannot find, even if they want to, cannot even get that opportunity. There is some sort of logjam here between all these jobs in the world out there and the people trying to get them. There's this big thing missing. And okay, online is king. It's there, you know, as when I first started in the business, it was a phone, a fax, and that was it. It's changed. Most people embrace change. You know, the vast majority of people I know of my sort of age are very computer literate. They have laptops, they have iPads, they have their iPhones, and all of this sort of stuff. However, the assumption from the recruiter looking at that is, oh, they're that sort of age, they're not going to be able to do it. So it's getting over that barrier as well. When you see the job online and you apply for the job online, what happens next? How many times have you applied for a job, or you've applied for that job, and nothing? Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Nothing comes back. Now, why is that? There are so many times where we look to what the job description says and we think, yeah, we can do that, we want to do that. So why are we not getting the opportunity? And this comes down to the CV, the next thing. When you send your CV off and it's not hitting the right buttons, why is that? Now the deal is, this is the online digital world. This is instant access to your information. When, as a recruiter, I'm looking for that CV for this job that my client's screaming me at to get this person in straight away, I've got about 20 seconds. That CV comes in front of me, I know exactly what I'm looking for. If I do not see it in that 20 seconds, it's on to the next one. It's click, bang, you're gone. And this is where you don't get the response back. It's disappeared in the ether. And I'm not going to look at it again. So what we've got to do is get a little bit clever in our applications for the jobs. What we've got to do is use the advantages of our skills. And here is the first one for you. When I say to my young team, have you spoken to that client? Have you called that client? And they'll go, yes, we have. Right, what happened there then? What happened? Oh, well, I sent him an email. Whoa, just wind back. I said to you, have you spoken to that client? Send him an email, I've done a text. Get the concept, pick the phone up, speak to them. And this is where our communication is falling down. There again is this gap between, yeah, I've spoken to them, and they're having a conversation with an email. When you follow up, when you put your CV into those jobs, follow up, even if it's ringing up the company direct, ringing up the agency, it's Geoff, I've applied for that job, I know I've only just put it on, but can you let me know if it's on now? And they'll have a look, they'll say yes or no, invariably you'll get fobbed off, we'll get back to you. Don't let them get off the hook like that. Ring them back 3 days' time. You said you got my CV, you looked at it. I'm assuming, because you haven't rang me, that nothing's happening. But can you let me know why? Just give me a one line, let me know why. Most of the people you'll be speaking to are good people. They like people, they do a job. They don't want to give bad feedback to people. One of the hardest things about being a recruiter and being a hiring manager in HR is telling people you haven't got the job. The nice bit is making that phone call and saying, bang, that job, you interview, you nailed it, you've got it, you start on Monday. Well, that's an easy call. 4 other people that went on the interview didn't get it. 26 other people who applied for the job and got to the CV screen stage didn't get it. You owe them feedback from a recruiter point of view. Most of the time we need to be reminded to do it. Don't be aggressive, don't be rude, just ask why. It'll help me if you say, I want your advice. Use something along those lines. People want to give advice and then they will genuinely help you. Also, you're in their memory bank. Make sure that you stay in their memory bank. The other way that you've got to look at it when you apply for this job, what's there for the employer? What does he or she want? The big question you've got to ask yourself when you apply for that job is, you're the employer, I've got you in front of me, why should I employ you? What is the difference between you and the other 4 people, or all these other applications that are out there? The vast amount of applications online are spurious. So when you see an online job, administration assistant as a medical secretary, 164 applications, 130 of them won't have made the initial screening. As a recruiter or a hiring manager, the employer won't have even seen them because they've applied and they live 60, 70, 80 miles away. So if on your application you are living in the West Midlands but are moving to London and applying for jobs in London, put a London postcode. Because an automatic screen for a digital CV will immediately, they will have parameters on it that will say not more than 20 miles away. You don't see that, that's not in the job description, that's just been set up on the search, so you'll get an automatic response, if you're lucky, saying thank you for applying but you haven't got the job. Alright, on to the next one. So that's the first one, automatically. The other thing that the employer asks, in terms of, keep with this first one, why should I employ you? What I need you to do, I'm the employer, what I need you to do is demonstrate that you can do that job. Now, as somebody who's just coming out of the workplaces of 50-year-olds, you have all these vast skills. Vast skills. I'll give you an analogy of the Metropolitan Police Service, who are making a lot of people redundant in their administration side. And a lot of these guys are coming out with very good skills. They have administration skills, they've been well trained, they have qualifications, they can handle IT, they can do the whole Microsoft Office product base. And they're applying for jobs as a front desk administrator in a dentist. Well, the employer's going to see that and think, well, why are you applying for this? Go on. You've got to set your application up for that job. So if it means you have to redo your CV every time you apply for a job, do it. Put the time in now and you will get more results. So you demonstrate on that CV, when I'm saying, why should I employ you? You say, because I've done front desk experience at such and such a police station, which gives me management skills and people skills to do this job. I'm fully computer literate. I have customer service skills because I handle problems on the phones. So those are the things the job's asking for. You've sold that back to them. At least your CV is going to get an area. Okay? The next thing, the employer's going to be asking, how would this person fit in my team? Again, you lose the police analogy. There's two ways of looking at this. You can see somebody who's been loyal, trustworthy, been in their job for 20 years, so they're bound to bring those skills into the new one. Or you can think, oh well, is the employer going to think I'm institutionalised? Am I finished? You know, am I over the hill? Again, you've got to demonstrate the other side of it. But also, it's human nature to overcome. The other thing I would say, if the employer is belittling people like that, would you go and want to work for them? However, in general, the employer is probably rarely the person that you're actually going to work with. It's a recruitment agent, it's a HR manager, and it's people behind that. So again, the how will you fit in my team, you've got to demonstrate on that CV that you've worked in similar environments. So if the job says working in a team environment with 6 to 8 people, on your CV at some stage you have to have as one of your key points, I've worked in this environment, I've worked with 8 or 9 people, I've had to manage people, or I've acted up as a supervisor, and then what you've done there is you've given a little bit extra. And that brings us on to the next one, that great phrase, what else? And we should all ask that. Once you've established that you've got the skills to do that job, once you've shown that to the job, then you can turn around and say, on top of that, for the same money, these are the things you're going to get. It might be you speak another language. It might be some software that you do. It might be that you're a DJ. It doesn't matter. And if you've got other skills, put them on there. But things that people and employers like to look is if you've been members of clubs, associations, speaking groups, sports activities, anything like that shows discipline. It shows commitment, and employers love that. And that brings us straight on to the next one. How committed are you to this role? Sort of people we're talking about, if the assumption is that you're looking for a job when you're 52, are you as committed as when you were 19? Of course you are. Empirical evidence, in fact, shows that the older worker is much more reliable. But hey, I'm not going to diss the young guys in the room. But so from an employer, that is something that you can use to your advantage. Add something on there. I haven't taken a sick day for over 5 years. It's something that I haven't. I had that one day of sick. Sent me home a couple of times. But I always get in. I'm always there. And that adds value. That shows commitment, right? And then the final question, which every employer looks at, every person who's a hiring manager, what problems is this person going to be with? You've got to think about it that when somebody's interviewing for a job, or when somebody is the interviewer, they want an easy life. If I'm looking at it from a recruitment aspect, I want that person to represent me in the best possible light. And that way, I'm going to get more business. If I get it right, if my candidate's happy, if my client's happy, they're both going to recommend me. All right? So you've got to take that one straight up at the front and have to demonstrate again reliability, consistency, and how you've done things in the past. Again, the whole point of this is if you've done it once, you can do it again. Finally, we have a little look at the checklist. So when you're going through and you're applying for jobs, research the company. We've been talking about passion and being committed to what you want to do. When you get to the interview stage and you're not prepared, when that person who works for that company loves their job and says to you, what do you know about my company? Well, you sell toilet rolls, I don't know. do a bit of research, have a look at it online. Ring somebody up, ring the receptionist up. So I've got an interview in 2 weeks' time, what it's like to work there. How long have you worked there? Ask them questions about themselves. We love to talk about ourselves. Research the interviewer. Now, depending on what level sort of job you're going to, it makes sense to know who you're in front of. So online, for example, if you've got an interview at a company, it might be the HR people. If you've got access to something like LinkedIn or even Facebook, you can find out a name. You might even find out what football team they support or something like that. So as an icebreaker, when you go in there, you ask somebody as a weekend, what do you do the weekend? Football, oh yeah, I support Tottenham, I support Tottenham. And then you've immediately got a little bit of common ground. You've built rapport like that. You can build rapport in seconds in an interview. And if you've got the interviewer on your side, the tonality that they use of questions will change completely. The same questions will be totally different. When you go to the interview, prepare questions. I always write a list out, because invariably, if they're a good interviewer and you've got some interaction, you'll cover those questions. However, at the end of it, you generally get the offer from the interviewer. What do you want to know about us? What questions you've got? Oh, well, you've actually covered them all. Okay, that's fine. However, you've got to cover that eventuality. There's nothing wrong with having a list with you and saying, well, I prepared some questions. Oh, well, we spoke about benefits, we spoke about other offices, you've got all that now. Yeah, no, you've covered it all, that's superb. You know, the stuff you said about training was brilliant, I really like that. You've shown, again, you've shown interest. And not only have you shown interest, you've built rapport again. You've got to build whatever weapons you can to your advantage to make sure you get your job. It's competition. It's very, very rare that there's one person going to that job and that's it. You're going to be up against other people, and you're not going to win every time. You're not going to win. You know, there might be somebody who's just that little bit better, or one of the extra things they offered was a little bit better than yours. So you've got to be persistent. Keep going, keep going, keep going. There is a job out there for everyone. The other thing on the checklist is do a dry run. If you're going somewhere where you don't know, go there. Again, do it and drive at the same time that your interview is. So if your interview's at 10 o'clock, drive there the day before, during the school run. Ring them, ask them if there's parking. Even go in there and say, oh, I've got an interview here tomorrow, is there parking here? Is there somewhere around the street I can park? You're engaging people straight up. Any little advantage you can have, go for it. And then the final one on the list there is have a reference list ready. The best thing in the world that tells you you can do a job, the best thing in the world that tells an employer that you can do that job is other people. And in this day and age, what tends to happen, if I give my example, if I'm given a reference for one of my colleagues who's gone on to work somewhere else, all I'm allowed to is give dates. So what I always say to that, if somebody asks me a reference and it was somebody who worked for me, and they were good, and most of them were, I will ring that employer up and say, I've sent you a reference, however, I want you to know that I worked with so-and-so for 3 years and I did this, this, this and this. If you can, again, using LinkedIn, it's a great tool. You can get recommendations on there for things that you've done. There's nothing wrong taking a brag file with you to an interview of achievements. You know, I was Employee of the Month. I've got my firebrand awards that Ben said about in the introduction. They're on the wall at work. If I go for another job, they're going to be in my portfolio. Twice firebrand award. Have a look at this. Show off. You've got to be, even if you're shy, you've got to brag a bit. All right. Again, it's that competition. So that's me done. I hope that's been helpful. Are there any sort of questions for me at the moment?
Yeah, there were a couple of things you said. One of them was quite poignant, and then you spoke up. Yeah, well, speak up.
Go on the plan and reflect. And
That's cool.
Do you mind if you put up your PowerPoint again? It will probably jog my.
I mean, I'm speaking in terms of
Which way you'll go? Do I just click it?
Surround you on it.
Yep.